So let's get Savannah up here. Hello, Savannah. How are you doing?
Hi, Chloe. Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. It's excellent to have you here, and I'm really enjoying the fact that in this portion that I get to be involved with, we've got lots of kind of ethical and sustainable content going on. Because if there's anything we've seen with the consumer impact of the last 12 months of everything that's been going on, is humans are crying out for that better way of doing things. So it's great to have you here.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree and very happy to be here as well.
All right, there's your slide deck. So let you get on with it. It's all yours, Savannah.
All right. Thank you, Chloe. Hi, everybody. Like Chloe said, my name is Savannah White. I am the head of partner success at shoppinggives. And today we're going to go over how you guys can take steps to up your social impact strategy game, and how you can really bring your social impact into this new year with cause marketing in mind. So first, let's quickly touch on why social impact is important. Even before the craziness of last year, customers in the millennial and Gen Z generations were incredibly focused on buying with their values and voting with their wallets. They are really demanding that brands do more than just turn a profit. They want to see retail being used as a vehicle for change. And so they really support the brands that are mission minded, have a conscious focus, and are giving back. So currently, retailers are spending over 20 billion in digital advertising to acquire and retain this generation impact, as we call them. They have a huge buying power, and yet less than 1% of retailers are actually activating on cause marketing, even though that's a growing field. And there are a couple different reasons why cause marketing can be a little bit difficult to move into. As Rafi was mentioning on the last session, there is a good bit of legality that goes into, accessibility, but also cause marketing, and brands really have to be careful with the messaging they use when they're saying that they're donating a portion of sales. It can be hard to come up with what the strategy is when you don't understand your customers' beliefs. And it's also very difficult to measure, and even from an accounting perspective of trying to actually get those donations to go out, a lot of this comes into play, and that is probably and likely the reasons why a lot of retailers are not actually moving into the cause marketing space. All of these reasons and more are why we built shoppinggives in the first place. So we are a social impact commerce platform, and we exist to create impact on every purchase. We work with our retailers to give back to nonprofits of any size, and any retailer of any size can give back. And then we always take a look at how that's increasing customer loyalty and lifetime value through our suite of cause marketing technologies. It's a heavy kind of understanding, and there's a lot that we can do with our program that we'll go over. But at the base level, you get to align every purchase that a customer makes with their values one-to-one, and then you get that information back as a retailer to take a look at. Before I jump into these power strategies, I want to quickly set the table with the must-haves you need to keep in mind when donating a portion of sales. So like I mentioned, there is a good bit of legality that goes into it. And firstly, you have to register and file all the correct agreements in all 50 states. So with each nonprofit you're working with, there's commercial co-venture, solicitation agreements, and bonds in a good number of states that you have to have filed away in order to be compliant in your giving. Second, you have to be transparent with your customer and share the actual amount that's being donated pre and post purchase. So lines like percentage of profit, percentage of proceeds, they're not transparent enough for your customer. What could be $3 for you as the retailer might seem like $20 to the customer. So you have to be very explicit in the dollar amount that's actually going back to them pre and post purchase. Thirdly, you need to use names and logos only once you have received permission from the nonprofit. Just as you as a brand wouldn't want an influencer or any other business to say that they're partnered with you and use your assets in their marketing, nonprofits function the same way. So they do have protections over their content that you have to get permission to use. And lastly, you need to keep records of any of your giving just in case of auditing. So how much was given back, any donation receipts from nonprofits, all of those sorts of things. shoppinggives answers all of these points, and you can read a little bit more about it on our 4 things to know when giving back that's on the website. But now that we've finished the cause marketing compliance and regulation spiel that I have to give, I'm excited to go through our 3 power strategies to social impact success with you. The first is that you always want to be authentic and holistic in your impact strategy and in your mission. Second, customer engagement really counts. How can you include your customer in that giving back that you're doing in your cause marketing? How can you bring them into the conversation? And lastly, the doing well part of this presentation, measurement really matters. So how is impact affecting your bottom line? Are you seeing different buying behaviors between donating and non-donating customers? Things like that. And we'll get into how to measure that as well. So first, I'm going to start with my personal favorite. I'm definitely a sentimental, touchy-feely kind of person. So talking about your values and how to actually come up with a social impact strategy for your brand. We always suggest that if you're building from the ground up, there are a couple key places to start when you're working on your cause marketing strategy and your mission as a brand. The four kind of key pillars are your team, your community, your customer, and your product. So on the team side, this is your first line of defense and your frontline influencers. If you're a small team, ask around, what do they care about? Is your CMO really passionate about animal rights? Is your CEO really passionate about LGBTQ rights? Things like that. How can you represent your team and your team's values in the mission that you're building out? Because you guys are the ones that started the company, you're the ones that keep it running. So how can you include giving and mention those values and support those values as well? Your community is going to be the space you exist in, whether that's a small town and you're homegrown and there's a nonprofit down the street that you want to support or you help fund 5Ks for. Is that someone that you want to support in your giving back mission? This could also be your community of influencers, the people that helped build the brand. Talk to the people around you who helped create what you guys are and figure out how you can support those values. On the customer side, this can be hard to guess or it can be very easy to figure out. If you create a product that fulfills a specific need, we have a lot of partners who, for example, make accessible unisex garments. So they give back to LGBTQ causes. Or if you know your customers care about animal rights, if you make matching doggy onesies and human onesies, maybe you want to give back to animal rights. So take a gander and see what your customers care about, but we can also take a look at what your customers are telling you they care about and the impact that is aligning with the business. We'll get into that just a little bit more in a bit, but if you have an idea as to what your customers care about, and you can always send out surveys too to figure out what mission they want to give back to. Finally, your product. So similar vein to your customer, if you are using specific resources to make your product, perhaps it's giving back to replenish that resource. So if you make cashmere jumpers, or if you're making, pants that are made from recycled wood pulp and things like that, perhaps you want to give back to plant trees or restore those communities. A great way to kind of close the loop and hint more at that circular economy model is to look at your product and how you could give back to supplement your giving. We have a lot of partners there are a lot of retailers in the space who are doing one-for-one models as well, and that's a really cool example. If you are making socks, maybe you want to give back to the homeless and things like that. So those are the four places that we always recommend looking to first. When you're building from the ground up, it's always great to kind of take a look internally. It'll help you be more authentic and genuine because you're building this yourself and you're building it with the community and the aspects that make your brand. Once you've created that mission, publish those stories and those brand values. So this is an example from our partners at White & Warren. They have an amazing impact page if anyone wants to go check it out. They do cashmere for a cause. Their CEO is very close to the American Heart Association. She has a really close experience with the American Heart Association. So their whole impact page and their whole impact strategy is surrounding giving back to the AMA. You can see that they publish their donation goal on that page as well. And what we couldn't share in this deck is that they have tips for how to take care of your heart. They speak about the 1% that they're giving back across the board. It's a really interesting page. And it gives your customers a place to land to learn more about what you guys are doing, which again speaks to that authenticity. When you're sharing your community support as well, we always look to social media. You can see on the left, we have an influencer that's supporting the AMA as well. So how can you get other members of your team, your community, your customers involved in the giving that you're doing? We also have on the right, Anatomy actually has a new nonprofit that they support on a monthly basis, and they always make an announcement on social media. So you can see that this month they're giving to Glam for Good, and they're bringing their community into that conversation, really making sure they're educating the customer there. Speaking about customer engagement, it is really important to mention this giving back to them so that they can see and tie into your goals as well and help you with your goals potentially too. So we have a bit of a crawl, walk, run when it comes to customer engagement. The first is that you always want to educate your customer. If there's a quick win for you that's in the social impact space, it's on the education side. So how can you tell your customer what you're doing and keep them in the loop of giving initiatives? Second, testing marketing channels. So how can we slowly integrate giving into your marketing messaging? You know, it's great that you're doing it on site, but people want to know. And if you're going to try using it in acquisition and retention, this is a great way to test it. Finally, remarketing and personalization. So once you do have the information from your customers about who they care about or how much you've donated, how can you use that in your remarketing strategies? From the education piece on site, aside from the impact page that we just went over, and as well as your social media, any kind of online marketing, homepage callouts, whether that's a hero banner or an eyebrow banner, really informs your customer from the jump about your giving. So this is very common for customers to do in special activation times. So Mother's Day, you can see here, Margot actually did a really cool activation that we worked with them on. They were giving 20% off, but the customer had the option to either split the discount so that they gave 10% to the nonprofit, 10% saved on their purchase, or they could donate their discount completely. So you can see here in their eyebrow banner, they speak to that, and they also talk about it on the homepage. This is especially important if your brand really wants to focus on flash giving events. So Earth Day is coming up next month, and after that, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So if you're going to be doing something really quickly, having as much information about the activation in front of your customers is really important, whether that's emails, online marketing on your web page, on your homepage. Really important to bring your customer into that conversation to keep them educated. Other announcements in emails and on social, for example, you can see on the left, our partners Ursa Major had a plan in mind. They wanted to plant 2 trees with every order for the month of May. And then they closed the loop on that. And you can see on the right, they actually told their customers how much they were able to plant. What we couldn't share on this deck that's really awesome as well is that underneath they spoke about how many acres of forest that was. They spoke about how much carbon dioxide they were able to pull out of the air with the plants that they were able to plant. So really cool activation, really fun to actually include your customer in the follow-up as well, because if they're donating on one purchase, they want to see the full picture too. In the center, you can see Neighborhood Goods announcing only good things. This was right when the COVID pandemic was coming into everyone's everyday life. Crazy to think there was ever a time when it wasn't in our everyday lives, but trying to keep it positive, keep it light, and kind of brand their COVID response as well. Another way to educate and engage with your customers is by integrating giving into other aspects of your business. So Shopping Gives has an integration with Yotpo loyalty, but this is something you could do with your loyalty program as well if you wanted to build out your cause marketing from the ground up. So Blind Barber is an example. They actually give a loyalty point for every $1 donated through Yotpo. So a customer purchases, they donate, and they're incentivized to donate because they get a loyalty reward point for doing so. Once they have those points, they're also able to redeem them for donations. So on Blind Barber, if they had 150 points, a customer could donate $10 to the cause of their choice, which is really awesome and fun to see piling in how many customers are using their points for sales versus donations. A really fun test as well. Speaking back to that customer pillar on how to build your corporate social responsibility strategy, Shopping Gives allows you to align every purchase with your customer's beliefs. And there are a bunch of different ways to do this. Our program actually enables the customer to select from the 1.5 million nonprofits that are in good standing in the US. So in that search bar here, you can see that a customer is able to pick whatever nonprofit from the big ending hunger companies like Feeding America all the way down to the food bank that's down the street. Then the retailer gets this information back, so they're able to tie that back to the specific customer and potentially use it in remarketing as well. So very cool activation. Another way to include giving on site is to create capsule collections assigned to specific causes on specific collections. So if your brand has pink items and green items, maybe the green goes back to save the planet and the pink goes back to breast cancer awareness. You can see how customers align with the items they want or the cause that they care about. Another really cool activation we've seen from partners is when you're using artists as a collaborator, you can support the cause that they care about on the items that they helped create. So we have a lot of partners who do that with the items that were created. They let the artist choose whatever nonprofit they want to support, and that's done on site. Of course, we can't talk about customer engagement without talking about customer donations as well. We firmly believe at Shopping Gives, and this is just a suggestion for you guys as you're building out your responsibility strategy, you should be giving as a brand before you ask your customer to add in extra dollars to give back. The engagement is going to be much higher when the customer is seeing, oh, this brand already gives back and I'm joining them in giving, rather than, oh, I'm already paying for this product and now I have to pay more in order to do good. When you as a brand are doing good first and then asking the customers to join you, it's a much stronger message and it gets a lot higher activation. Of course, the way that we all know about giving back from a customer perspective is the roundup donation. So a couple cents added onto your cart value just to give that little bit more. Micro actions really do lead to macro impact. Another cool way to include customer donations is doing an add-on donation. So a flat dollar amount, $1, $3, $5, lets your customer make a bigger impact if they'd like to. And a very cool activation you can do with that is potentially incentivizing your customers to give with discounts on their next purchase or a free item. So if a customer donates $10, let's say it's 10% off the next purchase, or if they donate $10, they get a free hat with their delivery or whatever it may be. Really cool to incentivize them with add-on donations. Giving doesn't have to exist all on its own. Then for cross-channel marketing and testing this impact messaging in your marketing strategy, of course, any sort of social and paid media, we always want to keep customers informed of the giving. So here you can see our partners at Dr. Bronner's are giving back to psychedelic-assisted therapies. So their special campaign of Heal Soul was spoken about on their social. Kenneth Cole speaking about their COVID-19 response. And then on the left, you can see Giving Tuesday activations from our other partners. You can also influence with giving in mind. So influencers are often very vocal about the causes that they care about. And so you as a retailer should work to support those causes, because their audiences are going to have an affinity toward it, and you'll be able to make stronger relationships with your influencers. So the example you're seeing here is from Hannah Brompman. She works with one of our partners, Highline Wellness, on a specific bath bomb with CBD included. She was very vocal about the Black Lives Matter movement and still is. So on their product that they made together, they gave an additional 20%, because I believe it was 5% across the board, on her product. So 25% of her product is actually going back to charity, to the charities that she chose. So a really interesting way to activate with your influencers as well. Again, for dedicated campaigns and special activations, we always recommend assisted flash giving activation, that you speak to this and inform your customers so that they're aware of what's happening. This is an example from our partners, Tomboy X. This is for Giving Tuesday, so you can see that they spoke to their mission, and then they also explained when you choose, they give back. So their customer is able to pick the cause of their choice as well. SMS is a new space for us. Another way to integrate and explain to your customers the good that's going on. Blind Barber, again, for Giving Tuesday, was speaking to 20%. But this is also really interesting to test. How does an impact SMS relate to a new arrivals SMS? What's getting more engagement? A really cool way to see if your impact is resonating with customers. When it comes to remarketing and personalization, there are a lot of different things you can do with the information you learn from your customers about how they give back. 83% of millennials say it's important for the companies they buy from to align with their beliefs and values. So how do you as a brand align with your guests' values and your shoppers' values? At the beginning, if you wanted to prospect, or if you're trying to see if customers care about the same causes you're supporting, you can target their audiences on social media. So nonprofits have massive followings online. You can see here, these are numbers that we pulled from Facebook for these specific nonprofits. Huge, huge following. So creating paid ads where you can speak to the specific mission that you have existing on site already. If you really care about giving back and ending hunger, maybe it's an ad for Feeding America that you share to that audience and see if you can pull in new customers from there who are aligned from a cause perspective. For those of you who are paying extra close attention, you will see that Feeding America's logo is included in this mock-up. And I did say that you're not allowed to use logos unless you have permission. We have permission. shoppinggives has a relationship with Feeding America, so we are allowed to use this. However, if you were doing a similar activation, you don't have a partnership with Feeding America, we suggest using umbrella terms. So instead of speaking about the nonprofit specifically, speak about the cause that they're behind. In this case, it would be You Shop, We Donate, Support the Fight to End Hunger, for example. You can still support Feeding America, but you're not using their name to collect customers. On the retention side, once you know who your customer cares about, create audience pools based on the nonprofit category. So in this example, if a customer supported One Tree Planted, an ad could be created for the planet-friendly customer pool that says, look good and save the planet. You might have this running at the same time as someone who has look good, support our veterans, things like that. You can separate the categories out to see where your customers support the most. And you can also see where your largest pool is. So if you start your giving activation and you go, you know what, we really care about animal rights, we're fighting for this, but we don't know exactly what we want to support. And then all of your customers are coming in saying, hey, we want to protect the planet, we want to protect the oceans. Maybe it's supporting an ocean mammal nonprofit or a Clean the Oceans nonprofit. You can kind of see where your customers are aligning and support their values as well. Finally, measurement matters. So again, we always want to measure how impact is affecting bottom line. We also want to make sure that we're tracking any sort of giving that you're doing so that you can share with your customers the good that's happening, and so that they're brought into that story, because again, they're seeing the one little incremental value that their purchase is providing. So when you can give them the full picture, that's a really great way to keep them engaged. So from the impact perspective, on your impact page, speaking about how much giving you've done, like on the left, our partner succulents box for their COVID-19 response. Again, Ursa Major with how many trees they planted, and that was just in 1 month. They're sharing that with their customers on social and an email. For your business, always measuring impact back to your bottom line. So we like to call it return on donation spend. It's our playful little spin on ROAS, return on ad spend. How much does $1 donated equate to for your business? We've seen lifts in conversion to 19%, 23% for average order value, and even an 18% increase in lifetime value from multiple times donors. We also, through shoppinggives, have Google Tag Manager event tracking that you can pass through to your analytics, so you can actually see if a customer is engaging with the impact widget on site, if they're engaging with the shoppinggives widget, how is their buying behavior differing from those who are not engaging with that giving back strategy. We also have dashboards to make the measurement of your giving super streamlined and easy, so you can always see how much is being given back, what is the average order value of customers who are donating versus those who aren't. And activation rate that you'll see down there is actually how many customers are opting in to donate with us. So really streamlined and easy for you to see on these dashboards. To review, the 3 power strategies for social impact success is number 1, always start with authentic impact. What matters to you as a brand? What are you genuinely getting behind? Because customers have more access to information than ever before. So they're going to be able to know if you're, pretending to care about a cause just to share a giving back message. Really make sure you're digging in with your team to see, what do we care about? What do we want to stand for? Customer engagement counts. So how can you tell your customer about your giving, whether that's informing them of the giving from the get-go, and then also letting them know how much good has actually been done. And finally, measurement matters, not only from an impact perspective, but from a bottom line perspective. Doing good really does mean doing well, and it will benefit your business to be charitable. A little bit more on shoppinggives. We integrate natively, so we can map your site and style completely, so that this is a message from you, not from shoppinggives, about how you guys are giving back. We manage donations from collection all the way through to disbursement, so you never have to worry about tracking how much money is going back. We handle all of that in the back end for you, and 100% of the donations will actually get to the nonprofit. And finally, like you just saw, we do have data and business insights, so you can see how impact is affecting bottom line. We're already working with some top direct-to-consumer retailers like the ones you're seeing on the screen, but we are always hoping to grow our giving economy and build our network of conscious-minded brands. So if you want to learn more, feel free to check out our website, shoppinggives.com. You can email hello@shoppinggives. And we have a couple minutes left, so if there are any questions, I'm happy to stick around and answer. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Hey, Savannah, that was amazing. So, I mean, I've always known that there's a lot of power in giving in terms of how you incentivize people to do things, but there's so much you can do. Like Apoorv said, this talk was brilliant. I learned so much, so many creative ways people are going about using donations.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's why we built the platform. It's meant to be so flexible so that a brand can focus on the good they're doing, not how to do good. There are so many hurdles just to giving back on every item versus, with a tool like this, you can easily give back across the board and then figure out, okay, how can we incentivize people further? How can we incentivize people to come back because we're giving and things like that?
It's do you just want to, it's brilliant. We've got to start moving on to the next session though. So, and we've got no other questions coming in. So could you just please remind people where to find you? That would be marvelous.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always find more information on our website, shoppinggives.com, or email hello@shoppinggives. Always easy to grab a hold of us. We're super responsive. But thanks so much, Chloe. I'll let you move on to the next talk. Have a great rest of your day, guys.
You too. Thanks, Savannah. Bye.